It's
Okay.
we are live on YouTube.
Jai. And
Jai.
we'll sing this song. The song name is Gai Gaura Madhur Sware. Official name is Sri Nagar Kirtan Sri Nam Song 2. The author is Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and the book name is Gitavali. The language is in Bengali. So we didn't completely finish song one. We still have the purport of that song left, which by the time we started the purport, I think Maharaj last week was already on the call. So we will continue with this song. And then we can touch the purport maybe in the next couple classes of Nadia Godrome Nityananda Mahajan. That's Nagar Kirtan's Sri Nam Song 1. So we'll sing this song, Nagar Kirtan Sri Nam Song 2. Gai Gora Madhur Sware, Gai Gora Madhur Sware, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Gai Gora Madhur Sware, Gai Gora Madhur Sware, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Grihe tako, bane thako, sada hari bole tako, grihe tako, bane thako, sada hari bole dako, suke duke bhulo nako, badane hari naam karo re, suke duke bhulo nako, badane hari naam karo re. Gai Gora Madhur Sware, Gai Gora Madhur Sware, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Maya jale bada hoye, acho mite kajaloe. Maya jale bada hoye, acho mite kajaloe. Ekona chetana pe Radha Madhav Nam bolo re. Ekona chetana pe Radha Madhav Nam bolo re. Gai Gora Madhur Sware, Gai Gora Madhur Sware, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Jivana hoilo shesha, na bajile rishi kesha. Jivana hoilo शेषा न भजिले ऋषि केशा भक्ति विनोदोपदेश एक बार हमारा समतोरे भक्ति विनोदोपदेश एक बार हमारा समतोरे गाय गौर मधुर स्वरे गाय गौर मधुर स्वरे हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय प्रभुपदा श्रील प्रभुपदा जय जय प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद जय वैष्णव ठाकुर जय वैष्णव ठाकुर आमी तोमार कुकुर श्रील भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर की जय श्री भूगर्भ गोस्वामी की जय श्री काशीश्वर पंडित की जय वैष्णव ठाकुर की जय. So we can all take turns and reading the translations of this very sweet song, and you'll see why. Translation number 1. Lord Gora Sundar sings in a very sweet voice. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Would someone like to read number 2?
I can read. Whether you are a householder or a sannyasi, constantly chant Hari Hari. Do not forget this chanting. Whether you are in a happy condition or a distressed one, just fill your lips with the Harinam.
Number 3.
You are bound up in the network of Maya and are forced to toil fruitlessly. Now you have obtained full consciousness in the human form of life. So chant the names of Radha Madhava.
And number 4, anybody? Anybody else there? Oh, okay, then I can.
May end at any moment. Oh. Your life may end at any moment, and you have not served the Lord of the senses, Rishikesha. Take this advice of Bhakti Vinod Thakur. Just once relish the nectar of the holy name.
Jai, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki Jai.
Yeah.
Any reflections on this song? I'll stop the share so I can see all your faces. Anybody have any reflections? What we've learned? We just read this wonderful song by Bhakti Vinod Thakur.
Actually, some of the points in this song has very close resemblance to some of the verses that we're going to talk about today, especially about being stuck in material life and all that. Bhakti Vinod Thakur says, "Maya jhale bhaddha hoye," like you are stuck in this material life. So there's quite a resemblance to that, and the only way to get out of it is by surrendering or worshipping the Supreme Lord. So yes, it has quite a resemblance to what we are going to talk about today.
In another song by Bhakti Vinod Thakur, he uses my favorite word. My dad knows what my favorite word in Bengali song. It says, Kachon habu dubu bhai. Habu dubu.
Yes.
We're all in a big habu.
How do means you are drowning.
Habu dubu is kind of, it's called an, I think it's called an onomatopoeia, in that habu dubu means drowning, but then when you make the sound of actually drowning, it's habu dubu, habu dubu. It's like when you're trying to get breath when you're drowning. So it's kind of it's factual that we're so much bound up, and sometimes it's like safe waters, and sometimes it's like torrential rain, but we're still in the water, of the material life.
Yeah.
And I like this thing that Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying. Take this advice of Bhaktivinoda Thakur: just once relish the nectar of the holy name. I always like that point, in that it's not saying, he's not saying every day relish the nectar of the holy name. Just pray to get once, because it's kind of like once you know the effect of it, like once burned, twice shy. So if you know the effect of the holy name, and if you know how nectarian the holy name is, just once, not just every day, then you can feel, okay, I like to do this every day. That a lot of devotees have that experience when they hear Hare Krishna on the street, and maybe they come to one of our centers, and then they hear the chanting of Hare Krishna. They feel like, oh, I got it. They want to get back into their material lives, but they can't, because the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra has effect on their ear. I always tell this joke. I tell like, joining the Hare Krishna movement is kind of like joining the mafia, and in the sense that you get in there, and you try to get, and you want to get out of the mafia, but you know too much, so you can't get out. So when you join the Hare Krishna movement, it's kind of like, okay, and then you're like, okay, I'm done with the Hare Krishna movement. I'm done for today. I'm done for some time. And then you try to go enjoy the material world as best as you can. You know too much about the material world. You know too much that it's just a fleeting enjoy. It's just no enjoyment there. There's actually the only enjoyment is an association of devotees, and in the chanting of Hare Krishna, as he's saying, So congratulations for everybody joining the mafia. The Hare Krishna Mafia, where you never have to go back. You never have to go back to the material world. Any other reflections? I know I spoke a lot. Okay.
Listen to Prabhupada's rendition of this beautiful bhajan. He sings it so sweetly. We have listened to this Prabhupada singing. It's so sweet.
Yeah. Srila Prabhupada's bhajans are like, I've been rediscovering them. There's sometimes when you just think, you just go on and on. Now I wrote a little thing in my diary, falling in love again. So in the beginning, I loved Prabhupada lectures, Prabhupada bhajans, and then I lost taste. And then now I'm like, okay, I'm just listening to those. Our dear Alec Prabhu added me to a Facebook group called Hearing Srila Prabhupada's Short Lectures. And they're like 7-8 minutes, and then the Prabhupada is so deep, and his bhajans are so nice, So I'm rediscovering them. So we will pause our study of the songs of the Vaishnava Acharyas today, in favor of a equally important occupation, the study of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And we have a very special guest, His Grace Bhakta Pritam Prabhu. So Pritam, I don't know what I can say about Pritam Prabhu. Pritam Prabhu is like as steady as a rock, So he's so his attachment to the holy name and sharing the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra with others is so deep and potent. The reason why it's so deep and potent, because he has made a very sincere study of Srila Prabhupada's books very thoroughly. I might add, very thoroughly. So when he reads Prabhupada's books, he finds it so nice that he's willing to come and share. He wants to share it as much as possible. And he's also known before COVID, the kitchen was in shambles if he didn't come in and he didn't wash the pots and man the kitchen, So he's a sincere servant of Srimati Radharani in the kitchen. So Prabhu is actually an IT professional. He's natively from Assam, but he grew up in Kolkata, and he has He has the heart of a Assam, right?
I mean, I grew up in Mizoram, not even in Assam. Right now,
Mizoram.
my
Okay.
parents live in Assam. It's from northeast completely. Yeah.
Okay, your parents are from Assam. You grew up in Mizoram, but
Mm-hmm.
mostly from Kolkata. A lot of Kolkata. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he has the heart of a Bengali, as Prabhupada says, the heart of a Bengali mother. So I have a big heart in sharing Krishna consciousness with others and showing kindness unto all the living entities. So we just had bhajans from 7:45 to 8 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And from 8 to 9, we will invite Bhakta Pritam Prabhu to serve the Srimad Bhagavatam class and serve the Srimad Bhagavatam pertaining to the verses Canto 1, Chapter 2, text 20, 23?
23 to
23 to
34.
34. 23 to 34. And then from 9 o'clock onwards on our time, we will have question and answers. So without any further ado, Pritam Prabhu, you are more than welcome to start the service.
Yeah. We'll start with the Mangala Charan. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurunpinam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadati Swa Padantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Seyuta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavam Stra Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sattvetam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakan Vitansra He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dino Bandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripya Sindhubhe Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Tinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaurivani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Pachatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So, Hare Krishna everyone. Thank you for joining this Saturday morning, Shravanam Saturday. I have a PowerPoint presentation. I'm going to share that. Just let me know whether you can see it. Can you see it, Prabhus? Haribol, can anyone hear me?
Yes, Prabhu, can see.
You can see it, okay. So again, thank you, Hari Prabhu, Alec Prabhu and organizers for inviting me. The glorification that Hari Prabhu said is totally not correct. It's over glorification. I'm not at all capable for that. I'm a very, very insignificant soul. But still, anyway, I would like to share some of my realizations of this beautiful chapter on Srimad Bhagavatam. Before we get into that, I would like to talk a little bit about two very prominent Vaishnavas in our Gaur Lila, Srila Bhagavad Goswami and Srila Kashishwar Pandit. They were very prominent associates of Mahaprabhu. And then since today is the auspicious disappearance day of both of them, I thought I'll speak a couple of minutes on each, on each one on each of them, so that we know who they are, what their contribution to Mahaprabhu's pastimes are. So first one is Srila Bhugarbha Goswami. Srila Bhugarbha Goswami was a disciple of Gadadhar Pandit, and he was a very, very close and dear friend of Srila Loknath Goswami. Now, we all know that we don't hear a lot about Loknath Goswami in any of the scriptures because he wanted to keep a very low profile. He was so humble that he requested that his name not be shared in any of the scriptures. For example, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, before writing Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, he actually went to Srila Loknath Goswami to take his blessings. And Loknath Goswami Maharaj said that, yeah, I will give you my blessings only with the condition that you will not mention my name anywhere. So that's why in the whole of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, you will not come across Srila Loknath Goswami Prabhupada's name. Similarly, Srila Bhagavatam Goswami also had the same mood. You will not see his name anywhere because even he didn't like his name to be mentioned anywhere. They are so close friends that they are said they were like one heart and one mind. They are like one soul, and they share the same mood. They spend most of their life in Vrindavan Dham on the order of Mahaprabhu. In fact, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami writes that the 11th branch of Gadadhar Goswami was Bhugarbha Goswami and the 12th was Bhagavad Das. Both of them went to Vrindavan and resided there for life. Beyond that, Kaviraj Goswami Prabhupada did not write anything more about Bhugarbha Goswami. And Narhari Chakravarti Thakur writes them in his Bhakti Ratnagar that Bhugarbha Goswami and Loknath Goswami were world preachers at that time. In fact, we know that Narottam Das Thakur was a disciple of Loknath Goswami. So you can imagine how exalted personality Loknath Goswami is. Even Bhugarbha Goswami also had the same, I would say, status in Brajadham at that point of time. And they were so close that and affectionate to one another that they were like one body. Narottam Das Thakur wrote a very beautiful prayer, basically glorifying all the Vaishnavas, and he also mentioned Bhagavad Goswami's name in that prayer. He says, "Oh Hari, why am I addicted to this abominable path of karma? I didn't worship Radha Krishna in Braja even one iota, nor could I understand the position of spontaneous devotion, Raga Marga. Swarup Damodar, Sanatan Goswami, Raghunath Bhatta, Raghunath Das, Gopal Bhatta Goswami, Bhugarbha Goswami, Jiva Goswami, and Loknath Goswami. I never offered a drop of service to their lotus feet. How then shall I attain the goal of life?" So this is the humility and the mood of servitude that the Vaishnavas have. So on the right, you see a small picture. I could find it on the internet. It's a samadhi of Srila Bhugarbha Goswami in Vrindavan. If anybody has visited Vrindavan and visited that, I think that's wonderful. Next is our Srila Kashishwar Pandit. He was a disciple of Ishwar Puri, and we know that Ishwar Puri was the spiritual master of Mahaprabhu. In fact, Kashishwar Pandit was a very senior, I would say, disciple of Ishwar Puri. In fact, he was senior in terms of years and his disciplehood, senior to Mahaprabhu. But Ishwar Puri instructed Kashishwar Pandit to go and serve Mahaprabhu in Jagannath Puri. Now, Mahaprabhu was very reluctant to take his service because technically he is his very senior god brother. I mean, how can you have your senior god brother serve you? That was very inappropriate at that time. And Mahaprabhu, because of his humility, was not at all comfortable in accepting his service. And Kashishwar Pandit has another god brother, very exalted god brother called Govinda. So both of them were instructed by Ishwar Puri to engage in Mahaprabhu's service. And then Mahaprabhu consulted with Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya as to what to do. I mean, there is on one side is said that you have to follow your Guru's instructions. On the other side, it's said that you should not engage your seniors in serving you. You should always be a humble servant of the Vaishnavas. And Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya answered that the spiritual master's order should take priority. So when you have conflict, you should always go by what the spiritual master says. And Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya said that if your spiritual master wants these two god brothers to serve you, then please accept that. So based on that, both Govinda and Kashishwar Pandit became personal servants of Mahaprabhu. And this is a prayer in Chaitanya Charitamrita to Govinda, which is Kashishwar Pandit's god brother. He writes, I am a servant of Ishwar Puri Path. My name is Govinda. On his order, I have come to you. At the time of his departure, my master ordered me, go to Sri Krishna Chaitanya and serve him. Kashishwar will also come after he has seen the pilgrimage sites. I have come directly to you. So by the order of the spiritual master, they went to serve Mahaprabhu. And what was Kasishwar Pandit's role in Gaur Lila? He was basically a bodyguard, if you look at it that way, because he said that when Mahaprabhu used to visit Jagannath Puri, the whole, big crowd would try to come close to Mahaprabhu, offer obeisances to him, touch him. And Kasishwar Pandit, because he was very strong physically, he would kind of hold back the crowd so that Mahaprabhu could be untouched and he could do his bhajan peacefully. So that was Kasishwar Pandit's service to Mahaprabhu. Besides that, he also used to do menial services. He used to serve prasadam to Mahaprabhu and the devotees. So that was Kasishwar Pandit's contribution or pastimes in the Gaur Lila. On the right, there is a very beautiful picture of Gaur, Vishnu Priya and Bal Gopal deities of Kasishwar Pandit. These are located in a place called Srirampur, that's in West Bengal. So very beautiful deities of Kasishwar Pandit, and they are still served today, even to this day. So with that, by taking the blessings of Srila Bhagavatam Goswami and Srila Kasishwar Pandit, we would like to start this Srimad Bhagavatam class. Pancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripya Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So before I start the remaining verses of chapter 2, I would like to give a quick recap of what we have covered so far. Last week, we had a very exalted speaker, His Holiness Bhakti Purusavataras Swami Maharaj. He touched upon some very beautiful points in a couple of verses that he spoke about. And then this rookie of such a fall down from such an exalted speaker, you are listening to a fallen soul like me. So I'll not be able to do justice to that, but whatever little bit I've understood from this chapter, I would like to share with you. The background is just for some of the devotees who are in this call and are not very familiar with the background. The background is Srimad Bhagavatam starts with the congregation of sages in Naimisharanya. All the sages, they gathered there, and they were headed by Saunaka Rishi. They approached Srila Goswami. Srila Goswami was present in the discussion or the Bhagavatam Katha between Sukdev Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj. So these sages were performing a 1,000-year sacrifice in Naimisharanya, basically to kind of deliver the world for the welfare of humanity, right? So the one point to be kept in mind is that all these sages, they come from different schools of philosophy and different schools of thought. So there is no, I would say, uniformity in terms of their Vedic conclusions, right? Some of them are pure devotees, some of them are impersonalists, some of them are demigod worshippers, some of them are yogis, some of them are jnanis. So they come from all varieties of life. So there has always been a kind of difference of opinion as to what is the ultimate goal of humanity, what is the ultimate good for humanity. And they approached Srila Goswami to answer that question. And then in the course of the discussion in Canto 1, Chapter 1, they raised 6 very beautiful questions. The first question is, what is ultimate good for humanity? Please explain to us in a very easily understandable way, because the Vedas, they give different conclusions based on which Vedic scriptures you read. But can you summarize everything and tell us what is the ultimate good for humanity? That's number one. Second question is, can you tell us what is the essence of all the scriptures, right? And they said, explain it for the good of all living beings, and so that by such instruction, their hearts may be fully satisfied. That's question number 2. Question number 3 is, what is the purpose of Krishna's appearance as the son of Devakin and Vasudeva? Basically, why did Krishna appear in this world? That's number 3. Number 4 and number 5 are about Krishna's Purusavatar incarnations and Leela avatar incarnations. So they said, could you please explain this different incarnations of the Supreme Lord? And last but not the least, they asked, where did religion take shelter after Krishna disappeared from this planet? So these are the 6 questions that the sages asked. And these 6 questions basically form the binding theme of whole Srimad Bhagavatam. Even though these questions are answered in chapter 2 and chapter 3 of Canto 1, but the remaining Bhagavatam verses and chapters touch upon these 6 questions. So as a devotee who are reading Srimad Bhagavatam very scrutinizingly, very seriously, we should always be able to remember the 6 questions at the back of our mind. At any point in Srimad Bhagavatam, wherever we're reading, we should be able to connect back to the 6 questions. For example, if you are reading 10 canto, you can always connect back to question number 5, basically Lord's Leela Avataras and so on. So that's why it's very important to know this 6 questions by the sages. Now I'm going to quickly go through these first 22 verses because they form, I would say, the context for the remaining 12 verses that I'm going to cover in later part of our discussion. So the first question was, what is the ultimate good for humanity? And Srila Goswami says, Savaivam pumsam paro dharmo yato bhakti dadokshaje ahaitu ki apratihata yayatma suprasidati. He says the supreme occupation for all humanity is that by which man can attain a loving devotional service unto the transcendental Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted to completely satisfy ourselves. Now, the audience or most of us may have a different understanding of the word dharma. And Srila Prabhupada very beautifully explains in his purport of this particular verse what dharma means. In essence, he's saying that Krishna is the Supreme Lord, and we are the jivas, we are his eternal servants. And when we are re-established in that constitutional position of the servant and the serf, that's true dharma. Everything else is kaitava dharma, which is treating religion. In verse 3 of the first chapter, we have come across that kaitava dharma, which is treating religion. So anything that glorifies the Supreme Lord and we are engaged in devotional service to the Supreme Lord, that's the pure dharma. So the main theme of this answer is loving devotional service unto Lord Sri Krishna is the ultimate good for all humanity. In essence, it's basically attaining prema bhakti stage, and the process to attain that stage is called sadhana bhakti. So that's the first question. Now, as I said, there are sages who come from different schools of thought, and some of them may not be even aware that Lord Sri Krishna is the supreme absolute truth, that he is to be served. That's the ultimate dharma. So some of them may, because I say some of them are like Gyanis and Dhyanis, and they may say, what about knowledge and detachment? Are they not important? I'm putting them in a question answer format so that we can really tie this to those 22 verses of this chapter. So some sages may question, what about knowledge and detachment? Are they not important? And then Srila Goswami says, yes, they're important. They will immediately receive knowledge and detachment when you perform bhakti unto Lord Sri Krishna. And the verse is, Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Janayati Asu Vairagyam Jnanam Chayat Ahaitukam. Jnanam is knowledge and Ahaitukam is detachment. So by performing bhakti, you will get knowledge and detachment. You don't have to cultivate knowledge and detachment separately. By performing bhakti, they are automatically obtained. That's number one. So this kind of satisfied one group of sages who had questions about knowledge and detachment. And there are other group of sages who are saying, what do you talk about? Why are you talking about Bhagavad Dharma? We heard that Varnashram Dharma is Paro Dharma, the supreme Dharma. And then the answer is, Srila Goswami says in the next verse 8, that yes, Varnashram Dharma is only important as long as it is attractive to the Lord's pastimes and messages. Such occupational duties, if they do not provoke attraction for the Lord's messages, they are just useless labor. And the sloka is, Dharma sanustita pumsam vishwakshana kata suyat non utpadayat yadiratim shrama evari kevalam. Shrama evai kevalam, that means a useless labor. If you do not develop bhakti for Lord Krishna, so whatever Varnashram Dharma you're talking about, it's all useless. So Varnashram is not a prerequisite for Bhagavad Dharma. It's one of the stepping stones to attain Krishna Bhakti, but it's not important from a larger perspective. Then someone may say, then what is the purpose of Varnashram Dharma? Krishna created it. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Chatur Varnya Maya system. I created this Varnashram Dharma. So what is the purpose? And the answer is in the next verse, Srila Goswami says, okay, occupational duties, which is Varnashram Dharma, they are meant for ultimate liberation and not for material gain, right? So one who dedicates to a higher goal doesn't use material gain for sense gratification. He says, Dharmasya hi apavargasya anartho arthayopa kalpate anarthasya dharmaikantasya kamo labaya hismritaha. So the purpose of Varnashram Dharma is to gradually progress in your path and life so that you ultimately attain ultimate liberation. And this is not material liberation you're talking about, it's liberation from this this material world, attaining, going back to God. That's the purpose of Varnashram Dharma, not like engaging in regulative practices or fruitive activities and attaining material gain. That's not the purpose of Varnashram Dharma. Now we know that in Varnashram Dharma there is this one group which basically deals with sense gratification. We have brahmachari ashram and grihastha, and then vanaprastha and sannyas. Now grihastha ashrams are the only, I would say, ashram where a little bit of sense gratification and is allowed. The other three groups are not allowed. So they say, okay, what will householders do then? They cannot even seek sense pleasure. They cannot even be like brahmacharyas or sannyasis. So what are they supposed to do? And the answer in the next verse is, okay, life's desires should be directed for sense gratification, should not be directed for sense gratification. The purpose of Grihastha ashram is basically to maintain a healthy life so that you can preserve yourself and then inquire about the absolute truth. That's the purpose of householder life, Grihastha life, or in essence, the overall Varnashram Dharma. And it says, Kamasya Nendriya Priti Labo Jibeta Yavata Jivasya Tadva Jigyasa Anato Yes Cheha Karmabi. So we should not be engaging in sense gratification. We should only inquire about the absolute truth. Now, the next question the sages may ask people who are not familiar with this absolute truth or Krishna Bhakti, they may say, what is absolute truth? I mean, how do you realize it? And the famous verse is, Vadanti tat tattvavidas tadvam yat jnanam advayam brahmeti paraman meti bhagavan iti shabdate. The absolute truth, it is by learned transcendentalists call this non-dual absolute truth in three features: Brahman, which is the effulgence of the Lord; Paramana, which is the partial representation; and Bhagavan. So these three aspects together constitute the absolute truth. Now the next question is, then how do you realize this absolute truth? What is the qualification needed? What is the process? The next verse 12 says that, it says, Tat Shraddha Dhana Munayo Jnana Vairagya Yuktaya Pasyanti Atmani Cha Atmanam Bhaktya Shruta Grihitaya. It means the seriously inquisitive student. That's the first qualification. One should be seriously inquisitive. Atato Brahma Jigyasa. Right? One should be seriously inquisitive and equipped with knowledge and detachment. You should have transcendental knowledge and you should be detached from material activities and material desires. So with this three qualification, you should perform devotional service. How do you perform that devotional service to attain this real absolute truth? You should hear from the right sources. You should hear from the Vedanta Shruti. You should hear from devotees. You should hear from Mahabhagavats and so on. So this is the process. And the translation says, the seriously inquisitive student or sage, well equipped in knowledge and detachment, realizes that absolute truth by rendering devotional service in terms of what he has heard from the Vedanta Shruti. So the sum and substance is, without devotional service, we cannot understand this absolute truth. Krishna will not reveal his glories and magnificence to us without performing bhakti. So the next verse is, okay, so this all sounds good, and one does not desire material gain, then does that mean that Varnashram duties need not be performed? Because you are saying that we should really perform bhakti. What about Varnashram duties? And the purpose, yes, Varnashram duties are important only to the extent that you are able to please Lord Hari. And this can be achieved through sadhana bhakti. And that's the next verse. Ata pumbe dujasrashta varnashrama vibhagasa swanutistha dharmasya samsiddhi haritosanam. O best among the twice born, it is therefore concluded that the highest perfection one can achieve by discharging the duties prescribed for one's own occupation according to caste division and orders of life is to please the personality of Godhead. So the purpose of Varnashram Dharma is to gradually purify ourselves, regulate our life, so that we can please Lord Hari. That's the purpose of Varnashram Dharma. Varnashram Dharma is not for sense gratification or for doing all these karma-kandic activities. That's not the purpose. The whole purpose of Varnashram Dharma is to worship Lord Krishna. Then the next question is, okay, what is the process to execute sadhana bhakti then? You are talking that sadhana bhakti is the regulative devotional service should be done to attain this absolute truth. And it is answered in the next verse 14. It says, with one point attention, that means with total concentration, total focus, we should only focus on devotional service by hearing, glorifying, remembering, worshiping the Lord. That is Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. This is the main limbs of sadhana bhakti. So when you perform this sadhana bhakti, you will be able to realize the absolute truth. Now the next question is, okay, then what about how do we get rid of this karma kandic activities? We are so busy, we cannot be one pointed. We have to work, we have our family, we have jobs to take care of, we have other societal and family responsibilities. How do we perform this bhakti if we are so engrossed in karma kandic activities or fruitive activities? How does one get faith from it? And the Sutta Goswami answers that in verse 15. He said, yad anudyasina yukta karma granthi nibandhanam chindanti kovidastasya ko na kuryat katharatim, with sword in hand. Which sword means not the physical sword, it means sword of knowledge and transcendental knowledge and detachment. With sword in hand, intelligent man cut through the binding knots of reactionary work by remembering the personality of Godhead. Then who didn't hear the Lord's messages? That means the more we engage in Krishna Bhakti, our material desires come down, and because our material desires come down, our karma activities or fruitive activities come down. So the best way to get rid of karma is to always remember and glorify and worship the Supreme Lord. Okay. Now the next question that the sages ask, okay, then in that case, how do we cultivate this bhakti? Are there various stages? Where do we get started? Like, so what are the various stages? What are the various phases? Could you please explain that to us? And Sutta Goswami answers that in verses 16 to 22. He very clearly delineates this whole process of bhakti. And so there are like 14 stages as mentioned in Bhagavad Subodhi. I just pointed them out. The first one and the most important is Satam Kripa, causeless mercy of pure devotees. Without the mercy of pure devotees, we will not be able to get to the stage of bhakti. And then when you get into the later chapters of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, like when how Narad Muni received this mercy, he received it by the mercy of pure devotees and service to devotees. So we'll elaborate more on this in the next few chapters. But the most important thing is causeless mercy of pure devotees. Now, the key point to be noted here is it doesn't say that it's a causeless mercy of Lord Krishna. He didn't say that. He says causeless mercy of pure devotees. Because it is mentioned that Krishna does not give bhakti. Krishna is impartial. In Bhagavad Gita, he says, I'm impartial. I favor no one, and I also do not disfavor anyone. I'm impartial. So if Krishna has to give bhakti to someone and not to others, then people will say, you know what, Krishna is partial. You are giving bhakti to some and not to others. So Krishna does not give bhakti. The bhakti is given by pure devotees. The pure devotees. So for example, because of Srila Prabhupada, who was a pure devotee, because of us, we got the seed of bhakti in our heart, right? So it all starts with the mercy of pure devotees. In Mahaprabhu's Leela, we have seen that Srila Advaita Acharya, he really prayed to Mahaprabhu to appear so that the humanity, the human living entities, suffering living entities can be delivered and relieved. So because he prayed, because Advaita Acharya prayed, Mahaprabhu appeared. Similarly, because Srila Prabhupada came to the Western world, we got this pure seed or idea or understanding of Krishna Bhakti. So it all starts from pure devotees. And then what happens next? Next one is, then you have to serve the devotees. Just by getting mercy of pure devotees is not important. It has to be reciprocated, right? So the verse is, what is the Nasta Prayasa Badresu Nitam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhakti Bhavati Naistike. It says, by regular attendance in classes on Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotees, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the God is established as an irrevocable fact. The service is important. That's mercy one way mercy is important, but it's not enough. We have to serve the devotees. So these two are very important, Satam Kripa and Mahat Seva. And then we go into the 9 stages of bhakti. First is Shraddha, because when you do this, when you receive mercy for devotees, and when you serve the devotees, the Shraddha, the faith in the Supreme Lord starts to develop. And then when you have Shraddha, you start associating with the devotees. And then once you do that, what's the next stage? You desire to take initiation or take shelter of a spiritual master. So that's Guru Padasraya, number 4, seeking shelter at the feet of Guru. And once you are initiated, you take initiation from a guru, and then the guru instructs you how to perform worship. So that's the bhajana kriya phase. Step 5, bhajaneshu spriha. And then based on that, you slowly level up bhakti, which is number 6. And once you perform bhakti, what are the side effects or the outcome? Your anartha nivriti happens, that the disappearance of bad habits, obstacles, misconceptions, past sinful reactions, those slowly go away. Your anarthas go away. That's number 7. And gradually you attain the state of nistha. That means you're very steady in what you're doing. For example, your service, you're very steady in your service. If you're waking up early in the morning to do your chanting, you're very steady. It's not like one morning I wake up very early, next day I wake up very late, and the following day I chant at the end of the day. No, there's a sense of steadiness that comes. That's number 8. And then the more you do that, you get a taste of the holy name, you get a taste of worshiping Krishna, you get a taste of associating with devotees. That's ruchi. And then number 10 is you get asakti, firm attachment. So this is the phase where you are unshakable in your bhakti, in your bhajana kriya. That's number 10. And then slowly you get rati, which is attachment, fondness. Then you get a bhava, you get prema. And then finally you get darshanam, vision of the Lord, and harer madhurya anubhave. You get direct experience of Lord's sweetness. So those are the phases that one goes through. In fact, in Nectar of Devotion, there's a very beautiful verse which basically covers this 9 phases. It says, Adav Shraddha Tato Bhajan Sadhu Sangha Atha Bhajana Kriya Tato Ananta Nifritisya Tata Nistha Ruchis Tata and then Asakti Bhava and then Prema. So these are the 9 stages: Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, and then Bhajana Kriya, Ananta Nifriti, Nistha, Ruchi, Asakti, Bhava and Prema. So these are the stages, and these verses 16 to 22, Srila Srila Goswami very beautifully explains this point so that the sages understand what bhakti is, what are the different stages of bhakti, what's the process of bhakti, and how to attain that. So that basically sums up the first 22 verses, and the result is this is the result that you get a performing the bhakti. Vidyate Hridaya Grantis, Chidyante Sarva Samsaya, Shriyanta Chasya Karmani, Vrishta Eva Admanishware. It says, thus the knot in the heart is pierced. That's number 1. So all the material misgivings that you have in the heart, they disappear. That is Vidyaya Hridaya Grantis. Next thing, all misgivings are cut to pieces. Chidyante Sarva Samsaya. The chain of karma is terminated. Shriyanti Chasya Karmani. And finally, one sees the self as one's master, which is Vrishta Eva Admanishware. So this is the process of bhakti. So if anybody says, you know what, how do I perform atonement for my sinful activities? Or how does my ignorance go away? How do my material desires go away? Nothing. You don't have to do anything. Just follow the bhakti process and everything will be taken care of. This is the beauty of bhakti. It is all inclusive. You don't have to do anything separate from bhakti. So this is the sum and substance of the first 22 verses. And then Srila Srila Goswami says that I'm not saying this, and all the great transcendentalists since time immemorial have been performing devotional service to Lord Krishna with great delight, because devotional service is enlivening the self. He says that, yeah, I mean, not only bhakti, it only gives you lots of pleasure, it gives you bliss, it gives you happiness. And that's why all these great sages from the past, they have been performing devotional service. So devotional service to Krishna bestows the highest result and is easy and joyful to perform. So that's basically the overall, I would say, very quick summary of the first 22 verses. And now I'm going to cover the next 12 verses 23 to 34. So the main theme of verses 23 to 29 is only Shri Krishna is to be worshipped, because now Srila Goswami has, as I would say, established the glorification of bhakti. He has talked about who the absolute truth is, that how we should be realizing him, right? So he delineated or explained the whole concept of bhakti. Now in the next 7 or 8 verses, Srila Srila Goswami talks about Bhagavan. Okay, you have bhakti, now we are talking about Bhagavan. And he clearly, through his verses, he clearly beautifully explains that only Sri Krishna is to be worshipped. You should not be worshipping the demigods. You should not be worshipping any other forefathers or other living entities. You should be only worshipping Krishna, Lord Krishna. And then he gives a very beautiful explanation what's the difference between Vishnu and the others. So we're going to see some of these verses now. So the first verse of verse 23 is it's about the Gunavataras, like how Vishnu is to be worshipped. The verse goes like this: Sadvam Rajastama iti pragrater gunastayer yukta parapurusha eka ihasya dhatte stiti adaye hari virinchi hareti samgya shriyamsi tatra khalu sadvatanur ninam shruyo. Translation by Srila Prabhupada: the transcendental personality of Godhead is indirectly associated with the 3 modes of material nature, namely passion, goodness, and ignorance. And just for the material world's creation, maintenance, and destruction, he accepts the three qualitative forms of Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. Of these three, all human beings can derive ultimate benefit from Vishnu, the form of the quality of goodness. And in the purpose, Srila Prabhupada writes, anyone therefore who wishes to get out of this prison house of material existence, which is full of miseries like repetition of birth, death, disease, and old age, must please Lord Vishnu for such liberation. Lord Vishnu is worshipped by devotional service only, and if anyone has to continue prison life in the material world, he may ask for relative facilities for temporary relief from different demigods like Shiva, Brahma, Indra, and Varuna. So that's the overall summary of this particular verse, saying that because the material world has been created, there are three modes of material nature come into effect, right? The mode of goodness, the mode of passion, and mode of ignorance. And Lord Vishnu takes care of it takes care of the mode of goodness. Brahma takes care of the mode of passion, and Lord Shiva takes care of the mode of ignorance. And then of this three, only Vishnu is to be worshipped. But again, there are some of the sages who might be very astonished to hear this, because as I said, they come from various schools of thought. Some of them are like the worship of Lord Shiva, some of them might be worshipping demigods, some of them might be worshipping Lord Brahma, or some of them might be even be little bit less impersonalist. So they may be very astonished. They say, you know what do you mean? I mean, why should only Krishna be worshipped? Why not Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, right? And Sonal Rishi was, are you saying that we should not worship Vishnu, Brahma, Shiva, and other avatars like Ram and Varaha? I thought they were all divine incarnations. This is basically the Mayavad concept, right? Everything is same. We should be worshipping everything equally. But here, Srila Goswami kind of smashes this misconception that everything is the same. And then he beautifully explains that actually there are Lord Krishna actually has two primary expansion or incarnations. One is the integrated planetary expansions, which is basically the Vishnu Tattvas, and the separated expansion, which is the Jiva Tattvas like us. So there is Vishnu Tattva and there is the Jiva Tattva, right? We are all part and parcel of Krishna. So we are also kind of his separated energy, but we are very infinitesimal, very minute, whereas Vishnu Tattvas are like the integrated, they're always eternally related to him. So because there are two divisions of Krishna's expansions and incarnations, so and the core philosophy is the Vishnu Tattvas, they're the controllers, and the Jiva Tattvas like us, we are controlled, right? I mean, we may think that we can be the lord of this material nature, but we are not. We are always under control of the material nature. Because we are in this material world, the three modes of material nature control us. But so we are the controlled, and the Vishnu Tattvas, they are the controllers. So that way we can never equate Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva to Vishnu. Lord Brahma is a Jiva Tattva, very exalted Jiva Tattva, still a Jiva Tattva, he's a Jiva like us. Lord Shiva is somewhere in between. He is neither Vishnu Tattva and he is not even Jiva Tattva. He is higher than Jiva Tattva and lower than Vishnu. They call it, he is like a semi-god. You have God, which is Krishna, you have semi-god Vishnu, and then you have the demigod. So Shiva's position is very high, but it's not as high as Lord Vishnu. So these are the two, I would say, differentiation that Sutta Goswami makes, that okay, there are two divisions. So and because Brahma and Shiva fall under Jiva Tattvas, and because they are also controlled by the Vishnu Tattva, so we should always worship Lord Vishnu and not anybody else. So the summary of this particular verse is that only Vishnu is to be worshipped. And then next, and then how does Sutta Goswami explain this concept of Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva? He gives the example of a dry wood, fire, a smoke, and fire in the next verse, which is, I did not mention the verse here, it is verse 24. It says, Parthivat daruno dhumas tasmat agnis trahi maya tamasas tu rajas tasmat sadvam yat brahma darshanam. The translation is, firewood is a transformation of earth, but smoke is better than the raw wood. And fire is still better, for by fire we can derive the benefits of superior knowledge through Vedic sacrifices. Similarly, passion, rajas, is better than ignorance, tamas. But goodness, sattva, is best because by goodness one can come to realize the absolute truth. So that's why it's saying that by worshipping Lord Vishnu, you will be able to realize the absolute truth. Now for worshippers of Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, so this is the analogy or metaphor that Sutta Goswami provides, that you are comparing firewood, smoke, and fire. Now, if you look at fire root, is basically is the potential of fire is there in the fire root, but it is very dormant. The consciousness is very suppressed, right? So unless it is acted upon by fire, the fire will not light by itself. So basically, it's in the mode of ignorance. So that's the fire. And still better than fire root is smoke, right? Once you light the fire root and then the smoke comes out, but still it is in the mode of passion. It doesn't do much for us. It's not much helpful. But the best is fire. And the example of fire is given throughout the scriptures, right? Because it said that God eats through fire. Fire is so, I would say, significant in our survival and sustenance in this material world. When you are born, there's a fire worship in your name giving ceremony. When you are initiated, there's a fire worship. When you die, you are cremated through fire, right? When you worship the Lord in the morning, you show the diya, you show fire. In fact, the food that you digest in your stomach is also subtle fire. Krishna says, oh, I'm the fire of digestion in your stomach, in your body. So fire is so crucial. It's like, and it has such a purifying effect, right? Yeah, like all the impurities are burned by fire, right? And there is a subtle fire, there's a gross fire like this fire that you see in the picture. There is a subtle fire like the fire of digestion in our body. There's also transcendental fire, the divine knowledge that we get from a spiritual master. So that fire, divine fire or transcendental knowledge will destroy our misgivings and ignorance. So fire is so worshipped, and Lord Vishnu is compared to that fire, right? It's all pervading, and it's needed for our sustenance. The sun is an example of fire. So he said that Vishnu is compared to fire, and smoke is compared to the mode of passion, which is Lord Brahma, and fire root is compared to Lord Shiva, which is in the mode of passion. So of this three, fire is the highest. So similarly, since Vishnu is equated with fire, that means Vishnu worship is the highest. So that's what Bhagavad Gita also says in verse 38, 4.38, as a blazing fire turns fire root to ash, so Arjuna, so does the fire of knowledge burn to ash. So all reactions to material activities. So Vishnu is to be worshipped. So this is another example that Srila Goswami gives as to why Vishnu is to be worshipped. Now, I'm just going to look at some of the comments that's coming, just to make sure that any feedback for me. Okay, so good. So the debate about who is the greatest, Vishnu, Brahma, or Shiva, has been there since time immemorial. Even in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 89, there was a pastime of Bhrigu Muni who actually proved the supremacy of Lord Vishnu. In fact, this pastime of Bhrigu Muni was also mentioned in Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat. There's a very beautiful pastime in Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat where one day Mahaprabhu and Srivas Pandit, they were sitting together, and Mahaprabhu asked Srivas Pandit, so what do you think of Advaita Acharya, Srivas? I mean, what kind of Vaishnava he is? And Srivas Pandit, in order to kind of test Mahaprabhu, or it's not like a serious, he just kind of in a very playful mood, he said actually Advaita Acharya is very similar to Sukdev Goswami and Prahlad Maharaj. He is of that category. And on hearing that, Mahaprabhu got very, very angry. He said, how dare you compare Advaita Acharya to Sukdev Goswami and Prahlad Maharaj? Yes, Sukdev is a very exalted, eternally liberated personality, but they are different. In essence, Mahaprabhu is teaching us that there is a difference between Vishnu Tattvas and Jiva Tattvas. Advaita Acharya, Mahaprabhu says that because of Advaita Acharya's cry and worship and prayer, I, who was lying in the ocean of milk, I had to appear in this earth because of his crying. So he's not an ordinary soul. He said he is great. He's a great Vaishnava. And then Mahaprabhu gives the example of Bhrigu Muni as to how do you there are some Vaishnavas, that category of Vaishnava that you should never offend, you should never doubt them. So Advaita Acharya is one of those. Mahaprabhu was explaining through the example of Bhrigu Muni. And in Chaitanya Bhagavat, it's very beautifully explained this whole pastime of Bhrigu Muni. I'm going to just mention this briefly so that there may be some devotees in that call who may not be aware of Bhrigu Muni's pastime about proving the supremacy of Lord Vishnu. So Mahaprabhu actually explained that there are even though outwardly the Vaishnavas may do something not very, I would say, um, um, so I mean socially acceptable. Their contact may be a little bit doubtful, but they are still great Vaishnavas. You should never doubt them. So that's what he was teaching Srivas Pandit Prabhu, that Advaita Acharya may look like a grihast householder. He has a family, but still he is a Mahavishnu and Rudra combined incarnation. So similarly, I was giving the example that Bhrigu Muni, even though he offended Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and the Vishnu, but still he's a great Vaishnava. And the pastime basically goes like this. So similar to this sages meeting at Naimisaranya discussing about what's the ultimate good for humanity. Similarly, there was also a group of sages long time ago. They were performing some sacrifice at the bank of River Saraswati, and they were performing a great sacrifice, and they were hearing from the Puranas. And again, they also came to the absolute truth, the concept of absolute truth, and the sages basically started debating who is supreme. We hear about some Puranas say Lord Brahma is supreme, some Puranas say Lord Shiva is supreme, and some Puranas say Vishnu is supreme. So is actually the supreme? Is it Vishnu, Brahma, or Shiva? And then they requested Bhrigu Muni, saying that okay, Bhrigu, could you please help establish that actual truth? Can you tell us who among the three is the greatest? And then this is what Bhrigu Muni does. First of all, Bhrigu Muni, he first goes to his father, Brahma. Bhrigu Muni is Brahma's son. He was born from the mind of Brahma. That's what it says. So he first went to the assembly with his father Brahma. Brahma was there along with other devotees or sages at that time. And he proudly stood there before him. And Brahma was very greatly pleased to see him. And now, according to Vedic culture, or similarly any culture, that when you go and see your father, you have to pay obeisances. And Bhrigu Muni, by etiquette, he was supposed to do that, but he did not do that. He just stood there. He basically wanted to test Brahma, like what kind of, is he in the quality of goodness, passion, or ignorance? So he did not offer any obeisances. He just stood there. And because Bhrigu wanted to test whether Brahma had the quality of goodness, he did not listen attentively to his father, because Brahma was there with other devotees, other sages, and he did not listen attentively. He neither offered prayers to Brahma nor he offered respectful obeisances. Whatever etiquette a man is supposed to do towards his father, he neglected all of this. And so this Brahma got very, very agitated. He became so angry that he basically appeared like an incarnation of Agni to devour Bhrigu Muni. But the other sages who were present there, they stopped Brahma, saying, no, he's your son. You can never be so angry at him. So let him go. And Bhrigu Muni basically ran away from there because he was so afraid of Lord Brahma punishing him, right? So basically he proved that Lord Brahma cannot control his anger, so he may not be the greatest. There might be something else, because like with a simple, I would say, not following etiquette of offering obeisances, he got so angry. So he cannot be supreme. So let me go and test Lord Vishnu. So he goes to Lord Vishnu. So technically, he goes to Lord Shiva. So technically Lord Shiva is basically his brother, because Shiva is also a son of Brahma in one sense. So he goes directly to Mount Kailash to test Shiva. And when Shiva saw Bhrigu Muni, he became very happy. He and Parvati welcomed him, right? So displaying the etiquette of an elder brother, the Lord Shiva rose to embrace Bhrigu with affection. But Bhrigu Muni, he said, hey, wait a second, you cannot come and touch me. You wear all the symbols from atheists, you have skeletons, you have ashes on your body. What kind of personality is it? You cannot come and touch me. So you are worshipped by the ghosts and pretas and pichasas and other untouchables and atheists. You are abominable. You should not even come close to me. Your behavior is full of contradictions, right? You are so renounced, but your devotees are so rich and so on. So there's something wrong in you. I'm not very satisfied that you should even come and offer, embrace me. And if you touch me, I'll have to bath. Therefore, oh Lord, please stay away from me. And when he started to criticize Lord Shiva, and Lord Shiva became very angry. He basically he picked up his trident and he wanted to basically attack Bhrigu Muni, but Parvati quickly came and stopped Lord Shiva from punishing Bhrigu Muni. And then Bhrigu Muni says, you know what, Lord Shiva, I don't think he's even superior, because he is in the mode of anger. He gets angry, he gets agitated. So he's not the supreme. So what does he do next? He said, okay, now let me test Vishnu. I tested Brahma. not satisfying. I trusted Vishnu, I trusted Shiva, not up to the mark. Let me go and test Lord Vishnu. And then at that point of time, Lord Vishnu was lying on a jewel bed, and Goddess Lakshmi was massaging his feet. I think he went to Vaikuntha. He went to Vaikuntha. That's what it says. And at that time, Bhrigu Muni came there unnoticed and kicked the Lord's chest with his foot. Now you see, it's very abominable, because how can you even we worship Lord's lotus feet, and how can you even kick the Lord with your feet? It is totally it's very big Vaishnava aparad if you look at it this way. But the affectionate Lord, as soon as he saw Bhrigu Muni, he immediately got up and affectionately offered his obeisance to the Brahmanas. Now you see the whole change in the other Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma, they expected obeisances from Bhrigu Muni. But here on the contrary, Vishnu is worshipping or offering obeisance to a Brahmana, because they said that you should always respect the Brahmanas and the Vaishnavas. So Lord Vishnu is offering obeisances to Bhrigu Muni. And then the Lord, along with Lakshmi, there was Bhrigu Muni's lotus feet, and then they gave him a nice place to sit, and the Lord personally smeared sandalwood pulp on Bhrigu's body. The Lord then begged forgiveness from Bhrigu Muni as if he had committed an offense. He said, "Oh, I have committed a great offense because I was unaware of arrival and I did not receive you properly. So please forgive me. This water that was used to wash your feet is so pure that it satisfies the place of pilgrimage." Right? He basically is glorifying the Brahmanas like Bhrigu Muni, saying that the water that washed the feet of a Brahmana so purifying, and he's very, Lord Vishnu is very honored to be kind of touched by the feet of Bhrigu Muni. And then he said, "I will gladly keep the mark and dust of your footprint on my chest. I'll keep the mark of your footprint on my chest along with Lakshmi, whose residence on my chest is glorified by the Vedas." So that way Vishnu glorifies Bhrigu Muni. And hearing the Lord's words and seeing his humble behavior, Bhrigu Muni concluded that Lord Vishnu was certainly beyond the influence of lust, anger, greed, and illusion. So he comes back to the sages, then and tells them, "You know what, I've tested all three, and then Vishnu is to be worshipped." In essence, Bhrigu Muni was proving that Vishnu is transcendental to the three modes of material nature. He is not affected by lust, anger, greed, pride, envy, anything, whereas Shiva and Brahma were subject to the three modes of material nature and the accompanying effects like getting angry and pride and so on. So he says only Vishnu is to be worshipped. So this is how Srila Goswami summarizes this 3 or 4 verses, saying that the difference between Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, and how Vishnu is to be worshipped. Now and then the question is, okay, if Vishnu is to be worshipped, then how do you worship that? What are who provides us this guidelines and the principles? And then verse 25 clearly says that previously all the great sages rendered service unto the personality of Godhead due to his existence above the three modes of material nature. They worshipped him to become free from material conditions and thus derive the ultimate benefit. Whoever follows such great authorities is also eligible for liberation from the material world. In essence, Srila Goswami is saying that you worship Lord Vishnu directly. Even the great sages in the past have rendered service to Lord Vishnu or the personality of Godhead. And either you do that or you also follow the instructions of the great authorities, basically the Mahajans. And they are the authorized agents of the Lord. They maintain and establish the religious principles. They know the religious principles, so they can teach you how to worship Lord Vishnu. So that's what Srila Goswami said. There is this verse because there are the 12 Mahajans, right? I'm just trying to find out what the 12 Mahajans are. I can't find them. Okay. So the 12 Mahajans are Swayambhu Narada Sambhu, Kumara Kapila Manu, Prahlada Janaka Bhishmo, Balir, Vayashakir, Vayam. So this verse was spoken by Yamaraj. So he says there are 12 Mahajans who all of us know the religious principles. So they are Swayambhu, Swayambhu is Lord Brahma, Narada, Lord Narada, then Shambhu, Shambhu is Lord Shiva, Kumara is the 4 Kumaras, Prahlado is Prahlad Maharaj, Kapilo is the Manu is the Swayambhuva Manu, Prahlad Maharaj, Janako is the father of Sita Devi, and then Bhishma is the grandfather of Bhishma in Mahabharata, and then Bali is Bali, Vyasakir. Vyasakir is another name for Sukadeva Goswami. Vyasakir and Vyam. Vyam means I myself. Myself means Yamaraj. He says these 12 personalities, they know the religious principles and you should take guidance from them so that you know how to worship Lord Vishnu. And we are basically following in the line of Brahma, right? Brahma, Mahadeva, Gaudiya, Sampradaya. So we are also in the bona fide parampara system. So that's how the worship that we do, the worship that Srila Prabhupada taught us is very bona fide. So because we are following one of the great Mahajans. So that's how Sutta Goswami explains that how Vishnu is to be worshipped. Now, as I said, among the sages, there may be some sages who might be into demigod worship, and Sutta Goswami very strongly, I would say, discourages the demigod worship. In verse 26 or 27, he is saying, those who are serious about liberation are certainly non-envious, and they respect all, yet they reject the horrible and ghastly forms of the demigods, and worship only the all-blissful forms of Lord Vishnu and his plenary portions. That's 26. 27, basically, who is worshipping these demigods? Those who are in the mode of passion and ignorance worship those in the same category, namely the forefathers, other living beings, and the demigods who are in charge of cosmic activities. For they are urged by a desire to be materially benefited with women, wealth, power, and progeny. So Sutta Goswami is saying that you worship only Vishnu and nobody else, not Lord Brahma, not Lord Shiva, not even the demigods, right? Because, and then he again gives the reason very clearly that the Supreme Lord and the Vishnu Tattvas, they're one category, and they are the demigods, and others are Jiva Tattvas. So even though Jiva Tattva, the demigods are more advanced than us in terms of material opulence, in terms of their realizations, in terms of their longevity of their life, in terms of the opulence, in terms of the knowledge. Yes, they are very exalted, but they're still Jiva Tattvas. They are still controlled by the Vishnu Tattvas. So we should not be worshipping the demigods. And then only Lord Vishnu can give you liberation, and the demigods cannot give you liberation. Even in Srimad Bhagavatam, we will see that Hiranyakashipu worshipped Lord Brahma, right? Because he wanted kind of eternal life, and Lord Brahma couldn't give him that. He said, even I'm subjected to birth, that old age and disease. I'll die someday. So how can I give you immortality to you, Hiranyakashipu? So even Lord Brahma couldn't give that. And in Bhagavatam, at so many places we have seen that Indra offends Krishna by flooding that whole the Vrindavan, Golok Vrindavan, and then this Govardhana Lila happens, and then Lord Brahma offends Krishna by stealing his coward friends. So that means they are also demigods. They are also subjected to the, I would say, to the control of the Supreme Lord. So similarly, the demigods, even though they may be exalted, they should not be worshipped. But the key point to be noted here is that it says in verse 26, those who are serious about liberation are certainly non-envious. That means even though we do not worship the demigods, we should still respect them. We should not be non-envious. It says they all respect all. Because there's a big kind of debate in India, right? Oh, we are Krishna worshippers. Why should we worship the demigods? I have nothing to do with the demigods. That's disrespectful. Demigods are also servitors of the Supreme Lord. They are also Vaishnavas. They are also serving the Supreme Lord. Supreme Lord has various departments in maintaining this material creation. And the demigods are assigned their respective duties. So they are also serving the Supreme Lord. So they are also advanced devotees, but we should not be worshipping them. We should respect them. That's the whole point. And who are the worshippers of the demigods? Is basically people who basically want dharma, artha, kama, moksha, the four things. You have material desires, you worship those, right? And Bhagavad Gita 7:20 says a very beautiful verse. Kama is taista rita jnana prapadyante anya devata tam niyamam asthaya prakritya niyata swaya. Those whose minds are distorted by material desires surrender unto demigods and follow the particular rules and regulations of worship according to their own natures. So this says that the demigods, even if you have material desires, you go to demigods, but our goal of life is not to cultivate material desires. As we have seen in the previous verses, our goal in life is to attain ultimate liberation. Ultimate liberation means we have to get rid of our material existence, go back to Godhead, right? That's the whole purpose of worshiping the Supreme Lord. So then demigods cannot give you the liberation. They themselves pray for liberation from Lord Vishnu. So why should you even pray to them for anything else, right? So that's the sum and substance of that. And the point is that as devotees, as sadhakas, as practitioners, we still have material desires from time to time, right? We may lose a job and we are praying for a job, and then we may have bad health or disease. We want relief from some material distress, but in that case, who do we pray to? a demigod worship is not allowed, and we should not worship Vishnu. For, I mean, it's not right to worship Vishnu for material distress. And Lord Krishna says in Canto 2, and there is a very beautiful prayer. He says, Akama sarva kamova moksha kama udaradi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. Then that even you have material desires, if you have no material desires and you are desirous of liberation, you should still worship Lord Krishna. It's okay to worship Lord Krishna for for removing material distress, with the hope that by removing the material distress, I'll be able to perform bhakti better. But still, if you have material desires, come to Lord Krishna. Over the period of time, Krishna will purify in such a way that your material desires will be grown. So it will be gone. So whatever be the case, you worship Lord Vishnu. That's the whole substance of that. There's no need to worship the demigods, right? And verse 20 in 28, Srila Goswami summarizes the whole essence of everything. Like, okay, how Krishna can satisfy everybody, right? There's a beautiful verse. It says, Vasudeva para Veda, Vasudeva para Makha, Vasudeva para Yoga, Vasudeva para Kriya. Vasudeva param jnanam, Vasudeva param tapaha, Vasudeva paro dharmo, Vasudeva paragati. So the sages in whatever schools they belong to, they can all achieve their purpose by worshipping Lord Krishna. So the first one is Vasudeva para Veda. Ultimate object of Vedas is Sri Krishna. So the Gyanis, right, who want to study the scriptures and the Vedas, they say, oh, you don't have to, the whole purpose of the Vedas is to know Lord Krishna. And there's a very beautiful reference in Bhagavad Gita. Well, Lord Krishna himself says that why you should be worshipping me. So in verse 15, Lord Krishna says, oh, Vedas sarvai aham eva vedya. By all the Vedas, I'm to be known. So if you're studying the Vedas, you should study the Vedas just to know me. That's the whole purpose of studying the Vedas. So he said, Vasudeva para Veda. Here's the ultimate object of the Vedas. Next one is Vasudeva para Makhaha, which is the purpose of sacrifice is to please Lord Krishna. In Bhagavatam, verse 24, there's a beautiful verse. It says, Aham sarva yagyanam. I am the only enjoyer and master of all sacrifices. So why should you perform any other sacrifice? Just worship me. And I'm the master of sacrifice, and I give the results of that sacrifice. So purpose of sacrifice is to please Lord Krishna. So perform sacrifice just to please me, right? He said, Aham sarva yagyanam bhakta cha Prabhu revacha natumam abhijananti tatvenatas chayanti te. I am the only enjoyer and master of all sacrifices. Those who do not recognize my true transcendental nature fall down. So he said, perform sacrifice to perform Lord Krishna, and then if you don't do that, you will fall down. So that's for the sages who wants to perform sacrifices, who main occupational duties perform sacrifices. So their concern is also just that you can achieve the results of the sacrifice by worshipping Lord Krishna. Now there are the yogis, the dhyanis, the meditators, right? They perform yoga, mystic yoga for mystic opulences, right? Again, and then he says Vasudeva para yoga. So if you're a yogi, that's fine. You perform yoga only for realizing Sri Krishna. That's the only purpose of performing yoga. Yoga is not for our bodily comfort or attaining the mystic perfection. Yoga is for realizing Sri Krishna. And Bhagavad Gita 6.47 says, Yoginam api sarvesam mad katinante radmana shraddhavan bhajate yo mam same yukta tamo mataha. And of all the yogis, the one with great faith who always abides in me and thinks of me and renders transcendental loving service to me, he is the most intimately united in yoga, and he is the highest of all. That means Krishna is saying, of all the yoga processes, Bhakti yoga is the highest. So you perform the Bhakti yoga, not any other yoga. That are very temporary. Bhakti yoga is the highest. So the yogi who meditates on me and worships me and tries to realize me, that's the highest yoga platform. Fine. So he takes care of I would say the people who study the Veda, his address, their concerns address. People who perform sacrifices, their concern is address. People who perform yoga, their concern is address. Now people who perform karma kandak activities, the fruitive activities, that also Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 7.22, Vasudeva parakriya, right? I say sataya saddaya yukta tasya radhanam yahate labate cha tatha kaman mayaiva vihitan hitan. Endowed with such a faith, he endeavors to worship a particular demigod and obtains the desires. But naturally, these benefits are bestowed by me alone. So Krishna is saying, whatever fruitive activities you perform, whatever material desires you have, you may be worshipping the demigods, you may be worshipping your forefathers, you may be worshipping Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, but actually those results are given by me alone. Indirectly, I mean, without my sanction, the demigods and your worshipable objects will not be able to grant these fruitive results. So just worship me directly, and you will get the results. Mayaiva vihitan hitan. Next is Vasudeva Param Gyanam, Sri Krishna's supreme knowledge, right? So again in verse Bhagavad Gita 9:2, it said, Raja Vidya Raja Goyam, Pavitram Idam Uttamam, Pratyaksha Gavamam Dharmyam, Sushokam Kartum Abhayam. He said, this knowledge is the king of all education, the most secret of all secrets. So the Bhakti Yoga process is the highest education, the highest knowledge. So what need is there for gathering any other knowledge? It's not needed. So that concern is also addressed. Next is, okay, what about austerities, right? We also perform austerities, and is that also important? And Krishna is saying, yeah, austerities also performed to know Sri Krishna. Otherwise, what use is there for austerities, right? There's a very beautiful verse. It says, Aradito yadi haris tapasa tatakim. Na aradito yadi haris tapasa tatakim. Antar bahir yadi haris tapasa tatakim. Na antar bahir yadi haris tapasa tatakim. That's a very beautiful verse in Srimad Bhagavatam 11 canto 18th chapter verse 4, where it says, Aradito yadi haris. If you are worshipping Lord Vishnu or Lord Krishna, tapasa tatakim, what's the use of austerities? You perform austerities to get Lord Krishna. When you're worshipping Lord Krishna, you obtain Lord Krishna. What's the use of performing austerities? So that's Aradito yadi haris tapasa tatakim. Na aradito, if you are not worshipping Lord Krishna, then what's the use of austerities, right? Na aradito yadi haris tapasa tatakim. So what's the use of performing austerities if you are not worshipping Lord Krishna? Similarly, antar bahis yadi haris. If you realize Krishna both internally and externally, then what's the use of performing austerities? Tapasa tatakim. And if you have not realized Lord Krishna internally and externally, then what's the use of performing austerities? The whole point is perform austerities to please Lord Krishna. Then in Bhagavad Gita 9:27, Krishna says, Yat karosi, yat asnasi, yat juhosi dadasi, yat tapasyasi kontiya, tat kurusva mat arpanam. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever austerities you perform, whatever you give away or offer, do that as an offering to me. So perform austerities only to please me. That's the whole point of austerity. Otherwise, it's all useless labor. Shama eva kevalam. Next is, this summarizes the first question, what is the ultimate good for humanity? It says, Vasudeva Paradharmo. Religion dharma is loving service unto Sri Krishna. And Krishna says in 10.8, Aham Sarvasya Prabhu, that I am the source of all material and spiritual existence. And whoever knows this, worship me with deep faith. So that's the highest dharma, worshiping Lord Krishna. And finally, Vasudeva Paragati, the supreme goal of life is Sri Krishna. Arjuna says in Bhagavad Gita 10:12-13, Param Brahma, Param Dhama, what is it said? Param Brahma, Param Dhama, Pavitram Paramam Bhavam, Purusam Sasvatam Divyao Adi Devam Aja Vibhum. So his Arjuna says, you are the supreme personality of Godhead. That's a Param Brahma. Param Dhama, you are the ultimate abode. Pavitram, you are the purest. Paramam Bhavam, you are the absolute truth. Purusam, you are eternal. Sasvatam, you are eternal. Divyam, you are transcendental. Adi Devam, you are unborn. You are original. You are the greatest. So Arjuna also highlights this point after he sees the universal form. He is kind of praying to Krishna that you are the highest. So what need is there for any other process of worship or any other objects of worship? So Krishna is the summit substance. So in that way, Srila Goswami concludes question 1 and question 2, which is the ultimate good of all humanity and the essence of all the scriptures, through the process of bhakti, by establishing that bhakti to Krishna is the highest, and Lord Krishna is a devotional service, is the essence of all the scriptures. So that way completes the first 2 questions. And I was requested by Hari Prabhu to cover the last 4 verses of this chapter so that we can wrap it up quickly. I know I'm going a little bit above time. I'll wrap it up quickly. So the next is Purusavataras. Basically, after answering question 1 and 2, Srila Goswami answers question 4 about the lost Purusavataras and material creation. And And this is basically some substance. I'm trying to wrap it up very quickly, that the jivas, like we were at one point in the spiritual world, and then because we had material desires, we wanted to enjoy separately from Krishna, and Lord Krishna created this material universe for us, material place for us, so that we can come and enjoy independent of the Lord, right? And the process he did that is through these three Purusavataras. We have the Karanodaksha Vishnu, Garbhodakasha Vishnu, and Shirodaksha Vishnu. So Karanodaksha Vishnu, basically, the first picture that you see, he lies down in the Karana ocean, causal ocean, and then with his breath, millions of universes emanate from the pores of his skin. And then in each universe, he enters as a Garbhodakasha Vishnu. And then from this navel, a Brahma comes out, a lotus stem comes out, and from that a Brahma is born, and from the Brahma, all the jivas are born. That's the whole process. But the Lord is so merciful that even though he gave us a separate place to enjoy, he also wants us to go back home, back to Godhead. He wants us to fulfill our material desires or get rid of material desires. And then he wants us to take us back home. But in order to do that, he as a loving, as a friend to all living entities, he's always with us as a Paramatma, super soul, right? So that's verse 32 and 33. Verse 30 to 33 are basically covering that this material universe, material world was created for us to enjoy separately from the Lord, but the Lord is so kind that he accompanies us in every activity, in every lifetime, in every birth, in every form of species that we take, so that he can guide us directly or through his devotees or representatives, so that we can be free of our material desires and go back home, back to Godhead. So that's the sum and substance of those last four verses. And then finally, the third question was, why did Lord appear in the womb of Devaki as the son of Vasudeva? And the answer is that he did that in order to reclaim those in the mode of pure goodness, right? The Lord created these material universes that are supervised by various demigods, men and lower animals. But at the same time, he wants us to be happy eternally. He doesn't want us to loiter in this material world, because material world is subjected to birth, death, old age, and disease. The happiness that we felt that we'll obtain by being separate from Krishna cannot be obtained in this world. It's just by design. It's just not possible to be happy in this material world. So Lord Krishna basically wants us to be situated in the mode of goodness, so that he can guide us and take us home back to Godhead. So that's the whole message of Lord Krishna, the purpose of Lord Krishna's appearance. Even though we learned that Lord Krishna appears to annihilate the demons and save the devotees and just establish religious principles, but all of his pastimes, whether it is Purusavataras or Leelavataras, are there so that we get attracted to Lord Krishna, his qualities, his form, his abode, and then his activities, and then we get a desire to kind of go back home, back to Godhead. So therefore, the Lord comes to propagate the message of the kingdom of God, either personally or as an incarnation, so also his bona fide representative as the good son of God, so that we can all go back to Godhead. So that basically summarizes the whole chapter. So in this chapter, as you've seen, there were, like, out of 6 questions, 4 questions were answered. Ultimate good for humanity is Krishna Bhakti. Essence of all scriptures is again devotional service, Krishna Bhakti. Purpose of Krishna's appearance as the son of Devakin and Vasudeva, to reclaim those in the mode of goodness. And the role of Purusavataras, basically the Purusavataras create and maintain and destroy the material universes. And that's the role of the Purusavataras. And question 5 and 6 will be answered in the next chapter, which is the Krishna is the source of all incarnations. Chapter 3 will also cover a little bit about the Purusavataras, and then it will also cover Leelavataras, and finally it will also cover where the religion takes shelter after Krishna disappeared from this planet. So these 2 chapters, chapter 2 and chapter 3, answers the 6 questions of the sages. But again, these are but the rest of Srimad Bhagavatam also ties into these 6 questions. So having said that, what's our takeaway points from this? So as devotees, we should be very, very grateful to Srila Prabhupada and Mahaprabhu that they have given us the perfect platform to perform Krishna Bhakti. We may have been past demigod worshippers or other or atheists or whoever it is, but whatever is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada, by his constant mercies, he's established that. So we don't have to go anywhere. We don't have to reinvent anything. Everything is there for us. It's provided to us on a platter to perform Krishna Bhakti. So we are always grateful to Srila Prabhupada and Lord Chaitanya. And also we should be strictly following the regulated principle because we want to be in the mode of goodness always, not in mode of ignorance or mode of passion. Because even though ultimately mode of goodness is also one of the material modes of nature, we should be transcending the mode of goodness. But in order to do that, first you should be in the mode of goodness. Think of mode of goodness as a launching pad, right? That's like rockets. You have a launching pad, and then from the launching pad, the rockets are launched. Similarly, mode of goodness, from the mode of goodness, you go to the transcendental platform, which is the Vishuddha Sattva or Vasudeva state. So, but in order to that, you should come out of mode of goodness and mode of ignorance and mode of passion, and you should be in the mode of goodness. So that's why regulative principles are very, very important, so that we do not commit in the sinful activities, and we should be always be in a mode of goodness so that we can perform Krishna Bhakti. So Srila Prabhupada has given us, has blessed all this so beautifully for us, so that we can take advantage of it. And lastly, we should always chant the holy name of the Lord, because from mode of goodness to go to the transcendental platform, the holy name will take us. It's like a rocket for us from the mode of goodness to the Vasudeva state, or the state of pure consciousness. Only the holy name can take us. So always chant the holy name of the Lord. And since I was reading Chaitanya Bhagavat, there are a couple of very beautiful verses by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It is a sacred order. First one, he says, Jagater Pita Krishna Jena Bhoje Bap Picture Rohi Patika Janma Janma Tap. Jagater Pita Krishna, and Krishna is the father of the entire universe. Jena Bhoje Bap, one who respects his father, right? Pitri Rohi, he is rebellious. Potakir, he is sinful. Janma Janma Tap, he is subjected to miseries birth after birth. And then finally, Lord Mahaprabhu says, Bolo Krishna, Bhojo Krishna, Laho Krishna Nam, Krishna Mata, Krishna Pita, Krishna Dhana Pran. Bolo Krishna means chant Krishna, Bhojo Krishna means worship Krishna, Laho Krishna Nam, sing the glories of Krishna. Krishna Mata, which is Krishna is your mother, Krishna Pita, Krishna is your father, Krishna Dhana Pran, Krishna is the wealth of your life. So for us, since this is a Thanksgiving week, the best way for us to express our gratitude and thanksgiving to Lord Krishna is by always chanting the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So we should always chant the holy name, and should always think, how can I serve Lord Krishna? How can I please Lord Krishna? And how can I be always situated in mood of goodness? And how can I always associate with the devotees? As long as we do that, these very basic principles, we should be in good shape. We should be ready to go back to Godhead. And that's the sum and substance of this chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, that performing devotional service to Krishna, worshipping Krishna, associating with devotees, and then getting rid of the material desires, we should be perfectly eligible to attain the ultimate liberation, which is going back home, back to Godhead. So with that, I conclude this chapter. I know I had to rush the last 4 or 5 verses because the time was running short, but I thought I took more time because I had to cover the whole chapter, because I feel that whoever is finishing the chapter should kind of cover or summarize the whole chapter, so that devotees can take away some key points and be ready for the next chapter. So with that, I close my talk here, and then I'll open it up for questions and answers. So Grantala Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur, Premanande Hari Hari Bol.
Thank you, Prabhu.
So any questions, any reflections?
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you so much, Pritam Prabhu, for your wonderful presentation. And it was so scholarly given, and it showed that you put a lot of research and depth, and you formulate. I love how you just formulated everything into questions. Like, okay, what about if you do Varnashram? Okay, so this covers that. I really love that sense. So thank you so much for that, Prabhu. If you have time, we will take some questions, answers, reflections. And if anybody would have a question, I see Rupa Raju Mataji has raised her hand. Mataji, you can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Dandavat Pranamam Prabhuji. I have
Thank
missed
you.
a couple of classes, and then I was wondering how I could able to recoup everything, but then today is the mystical class for me, where you have recapped everything, and then I could able to connect to each and every point. Prabhuji, thank you so much for that.
Thank you. I will share this presentation with everybody so that you have the summary of chapter 2 with you. I'll share it with Hari Prabhu, Alek Prabhu, and they can email it to everyone.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
This actually, Rupa Maji is a very dedicated servant of Srimad Bhagavatam. She's actually from Sacramento, California.
Oh,
and
wow.
it's actually 5 a.m. there, and she's waking up
Thank you for joining.
and joining the class. So thank you, Maji, for your continued presence. Anybody else have any questions, comments, anything like that?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu, this is Manish. Thank you, Pritam,
Hare
Prabhu. It's
Hare Krishna,
wonderful
Manish
class.
Prabhu.
Yeah. So, Prabhu, I have one question. Like in one of the slides, you mentioned that bhakti is a 6 stage, right? So before bhakti, there are 4 stages. If you can go to that slide, please.
Yes.
So, Prabhu, my question is, so that means that, so we are chanting and people are like, devotees are doing some service. So they are not performing bhakti until they reach to 6th stage? How to
No. I
understand
mean,
that?
no. This is no, not exactly. This is like these are the key points that I took from the verses. So it doesn't mean that you have to reach point 6 to perform bhakti. It is saying that these are the stages. At point 6, your bhakti intensifies. Okay, you start with the serving the devotees, and then you get initiation, you get developed, and then your bhakti intensifies. It doesn't mean that you have to reach the stage 6 to perform bhakti. No, bhakti, all of these are bhakti. Right? Associating with devotees or developing Shraddha, faith is all bhakti. It's just that point 6 is like in the verses 622, bhakti is mentioned at one point. So I wanted to highlight that. So, but again, I mean, everything is bhakti. It need not be point 6 is a starting point for bhakti. No, everything is bhakti.
Okay, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you look the stages, right, it looks like once you cross these stages, then you reach to like Asakti, Rati, Prem, like all, I mean, these are very, very high stage, but so what I was like, bhakti is 6th stage, so.
No, this is Sanskrit word that was mentioned in those 6 or 7 verses. So I highlighted that this is a word that cannot be ignored. So bhakti is there, but yeah, I mean, everything bhakti starts right from the beginning. It not be like after you reach a certain stage of bhakti starts. Right before Shraddha, the bhakti starts, because it's there in everyone's heart. Bhakti is there as a seed given to us, right? So it's always there. So it's just a point. The question is, at what point does this bhakti get regenerated? And because of Srila Prabhupada's mercy and through his books and through the holy name, this bhakti is being revived slowly. So everything that we are doing is bhakti. It's not that after reaching a certain stage, bhakti develops. No, it's right from the beginning.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Any other questions?
Pritam Prabhu, thank you very much. Amazing. So you presented your realization so succinctly, scientifically, and then so sequentially. So I see you're an architect professional, so wonderfully presenting this presentation so nicely. So thank you very much. You're also inspiring so many devotees. Wonderful. I see.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you.
And it's paid off the spending time in kitchen, right?
Yes. This is not the knowledge is not mine. Everything is given by Srila Prabhupada. I'm just kind of pray to Srila Prabhupada so that I convey whatever is written in his books. I mean, what's there?
I'm just kidding.
I have no
I'm just kidding.
qualification.
Hours and hours of washing the pots and serving in the kitchen rather than it's messy. So I see him fortified as a wonderful person as you are. So thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you. Yeah, and somebody mentioned that this I summarized everything in a question answer format because I realized that whole Bhagavatam is basically question answers, right? There's a question answer between Srila Goswami and the sages, the Sonag Rishi, the question answer between Parikshit Maharaj and Srila Goswami. So I thought, why don't I give in a question answer format? And then I read that actually the sages asked this kind of questions to Srila Goswami because they came from different schools of thought. So I thought if I put them in question answer format, then the devotees will be able to identify why this verse was spoken, right? There is a kind of continuity in thought and the flow of verses. So that's the reason I put in a question answer format. And then personally also to me, it helps me understand. Otherwise, I mean, I don't know why we jump from one verse to another without getting the context or flow. So that's why I put them in a question answer format. Anyway, it's not my invention. Everything was there. Sat somewhere. Some devotees have put them. I just took them and then compiled them together. So not the original. So all glories, all gratitude goes to them. Hari Prabhu, are you ending here or anything else? Anything?
Prabhu, actually, I had a question, and I think one other devotee had a question. So my question was, you quoted Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, text 20, and the translation again is those whose intelligence has been stolen by material desires surrender unto demigods and follow the particular rules and regulations of worship according to their own natures. So this is this Prabhupada's translation, and there's quite a good website called Bhagavad Gita US.us. I put it in the chat box, and in that box it gives Srila Prabhupada's purport, and it gives Sripad Ramanujacharya's purport and Sripad Madhvacharya's purport to that verse of Bhagavad Gita, for every verse of Bhagavad Gita. So Sripad Madhvacharya is saying that that the supreme, so Krishna is not averse to people who worship the demigods. Like I can just read this here, that so he's saying basically that the Supreme Lord is not averse to those who worship the demigods, but he makes a distinction between those who worship between worship to him and worship to others. The result of worshiping all other gods is temporary and fleeting because the inherent power invested in them has limitations, being only applicable to the material worlds. But the results of worshiping the Supreme Lord are permanent and eternal because unlimited power is possessed by him. So Krishna's he's in this, he's saying that it's their intelligence is stolen by lust, but he's not directly condemning the worship of demigods. So my question is that in Bhagavatam chapter 5, Narada Muni is calling Vyasadev's works like the Upanishads Jugupsitam. He's using these words Jugupsitam, verily condemned these, because they're not sprouting direct bhakti, Krishna consciousness. So why isn't Krishna doing the same thing? In that he's not condemning the demigods, even though that he's stating it as it is, that their intelligence is stolen by lust. So that's kind of my question.
Yeah, so my understanding is, I guess Naveen Prabhu can also correct me. My understanding is, not everybody is in the platform of mode of goodness, right? There are people in the mode of ignorance. There are people in the mode of passion. So for those people, because they cannot immediately take up Krishna consciousness, for them demigod worship was recommended, because people have different desires, right? Not because they have different desires, different goals. For them, some channel has been provided, some option has been provided. Okay, you have these desires, you cannot do Krishna Bhakti, so what is your way around? So for them, those demigod worship is provided. But Krishna also says that those who are really intelligent, they don't worship the demigods, they worship me alone. But for people who are in the mode of ignorance and passion, some people worship ghosts and spirits and trees and whatnot. So for them, some avenues are provided for them to worship the demigods. Of course, it's allowed for those people, but the goal is to come to the mode of pure goodness and then worship Krishna. That's the whole goal. And that's why the Varnashram system, everything has been created so that people can be gradually elevated through these various stages and then come to a pure platform of pure goodness. So that's the whole point. So the Vedas allowed this, but only in a very, very restricted manner, only for people who cannot take up Krishna Bhakti. So that's my understanding. Anybody else want to share, like Naveen Prabhu, anybody?
But to the reciprocal of that question, so if we're saying that that Krishna is allowing some avenues that are provided for people in the lower modes of nature, but then why is Narada Muni being so strict with Vyas, with Srila Vyasadeva, and he's using such a harsh word like Jugupsitam?
Can I comment?
Yes,
when you're done, Prabhu. When you're done, please go ahead. I will connect later.
Yeah, I mean that Narada Muni's condemnation of this this thing will, I mean, once we come to the chapter, we'll get to know, because Narada Muni is saying that because you have provided that avenue, it has created havoc in the world. So much so that people have forgotten who Krishna is, people have forgotten Krishna Bhakti, and people felt that this demigod worship, these fruitive activities, material activities are the goal of life. So he said, you should not have done that. He chastised Srila Vyasadeva because of doing that. But when you go to those particular chapters and read the purpose, you'll get a true sense of why this was created. So Narad Muni had a point why he chastised Vyasadeva. Navin Prabhu?
Yes, so thank you. Actually, I had a couple of comments, but I was not planning to speak because he covered it very much. So the absolute truth or Bhagavatam, what it teaches, has many layers, many dimensions. So depends on where you are, that's what you can see. I also mentioned that yogis, dhyanis, karmis, bhaktis also read Bhagavatam. What they derive is different. Perception and perspectives of where you are and how do you see. So a father has two sons, and then both came from school and both presented their marks. And then now one person, he got 60, and then he was glorifying the son. Amazing, so wonderful, he's so wonderful, very nice. The other person got 90, and he is chastising. What kind of a person you are? You're not using your intelligence. This is nonsense. And then person whose neighbor came and he was confused. What are you trying to do? Oh, this person who got 60 used to get 30, 40, and then now he's getting 60. This person is getting 99, I was getting 90. So what is the perspective? So now who is Vedavyas? Vedavyas is literally incarnation of Krishna. Krishna uses his devotees to show, set an example, praman. So now, in that perspective, is chastising. Jugutsutam is a big word. But when it comes to Bhagavad Gita, what Krishna is telling, to encourage the people to elevate in Varnashram Dharma. Like, worshippers of demigods is better than atheists. Oh, wonderful, amazing. If you cannot come to me, at least do this, wonderful. Actually, I'm giving the faith to you through them so you can worship them. By worshipping them, you get the art of worshiping. And eventually, you grow out of it, you understand. If they are sincere, they will also help you to bring you to that stage. So, is he wrong there? Is he right here? No. He's saying the same message as the many dimensions. Depends on Kalapatra, time, place, and circumstances. People should not be confused. One more thing I wanted to say. You said Krishna will not give bhakti. It comes from the devotees, which is true from one perspective. But if you see other direction, is that really true? But who wants a bhakti? Radharani. And who is the Radharani? Is the best of the devotees. But ultimately, is the Krishna gives through her to set an example. Like when we hear like Krishna is not in Vaikuntha, is where the devotees among. If we take literally, it makes a difference. Yes, that's true. But what is the understanding? What is the essence? When Prabhupada said, I didn't write my purpose, as Krishna wrote. But why did he write his name? Why didn't he write Krishna's name? So people get confused with this understanding literally, because that's where they are. We appreciate, we move forward, that's good. But the transcendence has many layers and many dimensions. Everything will reconcile. But we have to have that maturity. And that maturity comes, of course, hearing and reading. That's my 2 cents, Prabhu.
Okay, thank you, Prabhu. Nice.
Yeah, that answered my question. So any other last minute reflections or thoughts or questions? Speak now or forever hold.
Any feedback, anything? Feedback, correction, criticism, whatever is there.
I have a question, Prabhuji. Like
Sure.
in the recent thing you have mentioned that not to pray to any demigods, but then why are we doing Nrsimha Harati and all?
No, Nrsimha is not a demigod. He's a Vishnu Tattva. Nrsimha is a form of Vishnu. So that's bona fide.
Okay.
Yeah, because he is not a Jiva Tattva. When demigod, Srila Goswami is saying you should not worship the Jiva Tattvas because they cannot give you ultimate liberation, ultimate benefit. Everything can be given by Vishnu Tattva. And Nrsimha is another form of Vishnu. So we are worshipping Vishnu. worshipping Nrsimhadev. In the other region, we worship Nrsimhadev is not for any material benefits. We worship Nrsimhadev so that our obstacles to bhakti, obstacles to perform bhakti are removed, so that we can become better devotees of Krishna. So for attaining Krishna bhakti, we worship Lord Nrsimhadev. So that's the reason we worship Lord Nrsimhadev.
Yeah, I understand to avoid the obstacles that we are praying, but then when you are into Krishna, like Krishna should take care of it automatically, right? So why, but still, why are we again doing that?
Navin Prabhu, you can answer that.
Krishna and Nrsimha both are same. Krishna purpose is only one to play, enjoy. And then to maintain, to protect or destroy, he takes different roles. So he takes the role of Shiva to destroy. He empower Brahma to create. At the same time, he becomes Nrsimha to remove the obstacle, Vigna Vinashaka. But Krishna will not do any other things. Krishna only is to pastimes. Leela Purushottam. So, but the same person does as form of Nrsimha. Like in a government, the same government has many departments: police department, judicial department, education department. It's all the same, but they execute. The electricity is same, but if it could pass through the refrigerator, it goes cold. If it goes to condenser, it goes from hot. If it goes to fan, it moves. It's the same. The same. Krishna is one, but to perpetuate his tattva and in different perspective, he does different way, it behaves different way. So that's the reason to remove the obstacles, he comes as Nrsimhadev to help us so that we can worship Krishna indirectly, but Krishna and Nrsimha both are same. You can worship Krishna directly, you don't have to worship. And also when you worship Krishna, you worship everybody anyway, including Brahma, including Shiva, including Nrsimhadev. You're worshipping everybody. But since I'm not there yet, but at least there are three primary tattva. Prabhupada gives: Krishna, Nrsimha, and Ram. But eventually we come to the situation where you see Krishna everywhere. Yeah. But till then we follow it's called Vaidhi Dharma. Not what is it? Yeah.
Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti.
Yeah, Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti. Thank you. Niyama and Agraha, rules and regulations.
So then what is the difference between Ganesha and Nrsimha for eliminating the obstacles? Because from childhood I have been taught to pray Ganesha to remove the obstacles, and Shiva to get the Vishnu Bhakti.
Correct.
So that is how I was raised from my childhood, and then I was thinking, like, in order to reach Vishnu is the tattva that we used to believe from childhood. So to reach that, we need to get the blessings of Ganesha and also from Shiva, so that we can remove all these obstacles and go. But then after coming to Krishna consciousness, I was introduced to this Nrsimha Arati and all, so I was getting confused. Like,
you're right, Mataji. So that's true. So as per Brahma, who is a creator, he also prayed this in Brahma Samhita. There's one verse where Ganesh has Tumalais, which is a protruding tree, and this one is holding the feet of Nrsimhadev. He was worshipping. He get the power from Nrsimhadev as a secondary Vigna Vinashak. The primary Vigna Vinashak is Nrsimhadev. The Ganesh to this material world, he's the order passer, like, the passing that mercy to the rest of the people worship. But once you understand, if you're serious, and Ganesh will connect you to Nrsimhadev, because the Ganesh Lord is Nrsimhadev. It is explained by Brahma himself in Brahma Samhita. What he heard is right, and now what he heard is also right.
Prabhuji, and also these 5 days is Bhishma Panchika, right? So can you just give a quick recap of what is the understanding of Bhishma according to the Bhishma Stuti?
Pritam, I don't want to give Bhagavatam. Just go ahead.
No, you go ahead. You have the answers.
Somebody else can speak. Okay, so if no one speaks, the Bhishma Panchika is the 5 days of last Kartik, where he summarizes his understanding. As Prabhu said, he is one of the Mahajana Yenukata Sapanta. That means setting an example. It's amazing actually. What happens is in Mahabharata, after the end of the war, he was lying in the battlefield with all arrows. Blood is coming out. He was fatigued. He was tired. He was he was aged up already by then. And finally, war is over. He was waiting for one person because he wanted to leave the body. And that's where Krishna comes. When Krishna comes, he brought the Pandavas and he brought everybody. And all the demigods, Shiva, Bharadwaj, Valmiki, mentioned Mahabharata, all people came. And then now Krishna tell Bhishma, now you're leaving, the person who's leaving the body, who's dead, and then God speaks to them. So please speak some nice words, Raja Dharma, Jnana Dharma, Bhakti Dharma, Sri Dharma, Vidya Dharma. There's so many dharmas, he says, conclude and tell all this into Yudhishthira because now he's become an emperor. And that's where the Vishnu Panchaka, he summarizes entire teachings of that, in that. So, and then Bhishma laughs. When Bhishma laughs, Krishna asks, why? You are there and you can speak. I cannot even speak. My mouth is dried and then my consciousness is so low because I'm so tired and fatigued. Then Krishna says amazing thing. I am like an ocean. You are like a sun. devotee. Sun takes the energy from ocean, forms the cloud, and give the sweet water. That's what reconciling what Prabhu said, that Krishna gives bhakti to devotees. So he is using Brahma as Mahajan to give the vast Vedic knowledge, which is like an ocean, in the form of a sweet water where we can drink. Because we cannot drink the ocean water. So that's where the Vishnu Panchaka comes. He spoke entire the knowledge, summarizes in very short way, where people can understand. That's one of the reasons Vaishnavas in this month of Kartik, which is very dear to Krishna, Damodar month, so worship Bhishma to understand his essence from Vedic literature as Mahajan, to follow him. So that is very significant matters. Not to get into the details, but that is the essence, is Bhishma Panchaka. And then tomorrow is the last day of Kartik. Those who want to intensify, and then they worship Bhishma, not as a supreme person of Godhead, but as a recipient of Krishna's bhakti to him, so that I can understand the oceanic knowledge of Krishna in a sweet water, so that my understanding as Jiva Tattva clearly and succinctly, but in a practical way. Make sense? Thank you.
Did I answer your question, Rupa Maharji?
Yes, Prabhuji, but like I'm afraid, like, Bhishma is like so much of, according to Bhishma Panchaka, if you listen, you understand how much knowledge he had about the Lord. And out of one, when I saw why he was on those arrows, he just just small mistake and of seeing something suffering. Maybe he didn't have. I don't know how to say, like, by doing a small mistake, he has given that much big punishment, right? But we in this Kali Yuga were like seeing so many mistakes around. I don't know how, even with everyday chanting of Hare Krishna, how can we doing this many sins, or seeing this many, being in this many sins, how can we purify ourselves?
Well, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, right? Sarvadharman parichyata, just surrender unto him, and all this, everything will be taken care of. So that's a disadvantage of Kali Yuga, that there are just too many sinful activities. We are very unqualified. Our consciousness is not right. We are not right frame of mind. We are so always under distress. But at the same time, Krishna is so merciful that he came as the holy name to relieve us from all distress. So the whole point is we should develop more taste for chanting holy name, and gradually everything will go away. So holy name is everything. And I myself try to develop more faith in the holy name, because that's the only ticket, right? It's a Harinam 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 Ava Kevalam Kalau Nasteva 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 Gatirinata. only the holy name is the only solution for all of us. There is no other way. There is no other way. There is no other way. It was stressed so many times. So all I can say, Mata, is just the holy name and nothing else. This is our only hope in this world, in this Kali Yuga.
Yes, we sang this bhajan in the beginning. Sukhe dukhe bolo nako harinam korode, sada harinam korode. Even in happiness and distress, keep chanting Hare Krishna. I heard Giraj Maharaj say recently in one of his class that even the worst round of Hare Krishna you chanted, that you've committed all the 11 offenses. You've committed 11 offenses. That's better than not chanting the round at all. So always keep chanting Hare Krishna and keep begging Krishna for forgiveness. But just for this week, we're gonna have to pause our Srimad Bhagavatam class for this week because we are a little bit over time, and this is a good way to spend a Saturday, just going all day discussing the various aspects of Krishna consciousness. So we are very grateful for His Pritam Prabhu and to come and serve the class. And next week, as I put it in the beginning, we will be having a Srimad Bhagavatam, a good old Srimad Bhagavatam quiz on Canto 1, Chapter 2. And please read over the chapter. And then so next week's verses are, I think, I'll put it in the group chat. I'll put in the group chat. I think it's 1.3 something. Can someone confirm that? Let me check.
I think how many are we covering next week? 5? 1 to 5 or?
Yeah, I think it's 1.3 to the first 5 verses of the quote.
Yes, those 5 verses talk about Purusavataras that I touched upon, and it's more detail in these 5 verses.
Alex Prabhu, you want to say something?
35 to 39.
We just there's only to 34.
Yeah, we finished chapter 2, Alek Prabhu. We are going to chapter 3 next time.
Yeah, we're going first 5 verses of text of chapter 3. Okay. So read over that, and we will have a quiz on chapter 2, and we will have nice speakers. Some really special speakers are coming up, and I wouldn't want to ruin the surprise right now, but but I just say keep your Saturday mornings open. So Hare Krishna, everybody. Thank you all for joining, and everybody can unmute and say a big Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.